Hi everyone, today we are going to finish our unit on health and wellness. We are going to be covering the positive experiences and well-being, basically how you maintain that optimistic outlook. Okay. So the whole study of this is called positive psychology, as you can see on the slide. And you got your definition right there, movement in psychology that focuses on the study of optimal human functioning and the factors that allow individuals and communities to thrive. Basically, it means you study what makes healthy people healthy, what makes them feel good, act good, and be good physically, socially, and emotionally, and mentally. The studies themselves focus on emotions and feelings and positive experiences, all coming together to determine what is that that factor of well-being, which is that concept that you have to hit several markers to be considered well off. They look for life satisfaction, feelings of fulfillment, pleasant emotions, and a low level of unpleasant emotions. It doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time, but for the most part, you are happy. When psychologists looked at these factors, they came up with 3 major kinds of experience that affect your well-being. And those 3 are what we're going to talk about today. They're called flow, happiness, and optimism. All right, so flow, okay, is that optimal experience, okay? They have several factors that are included in it. So when you are doing an activity or you're having an experience, it needs to provide a challenge. So it can't be something that's easy or that would eventually you find boring. It has to require skill. It's not something that everyone would be able to do right away. It has to have clear goals. What would be the ending of it? What are you trying to achieve? And it provides feedback either from other people, or it can be self-feedback of I did a good job today, or I'm getting better, that type of thing. When you're in a moment of flow, okay, several things will happen, and once I describe them, you'll recognize what a flow experience is. So when you are doing the activity, you can lose track of time. So you think you've been doing your activity for 5 minutes, and turns out it was an hour. It's very hard to distract you when you are doing that activity. Anyone trying to get your attention, you have zoned in on what it is you're trying to achieve, and it's hard to get you away from that. And you're also going to lose self-consciousness, meaning you are no longer worried about how you look or act or how other people are judging you. You're simply in the zone. So there's a lot of examples of this. For some people, it's when they're playing their favorite sports. Other people, it's when they are doing their favorite activity, like they're painting or they're reading a book. I'm sure some of you, especially now, it is about video games, where you just get lost in the world. So lots of different activities, but the whole concept is that particular experience is one that is pushing you and challenging you, but you're also finding it very enjoyable, and you really feel almost at peace even if you are challenging yourself when you are in the moment of flow. So that's one concept that can lead to your well-being. You need to find that activity, you need to find that experience in order to reach that full level of well-being. The other forms of experience are happiness. Lots of studies on what makes happy people happy. And by happy, we don't mean just always pleasant and upbeat. We mean people who really register that they have high life satisfaction. They like what is happening in their life. They feel challenged and accepted, and all those factors. So out of those studies, they've come up with a long list of things that are in common for most happy people. Again, all the studies are about correlation. It's not to say that if you don't have one of those factors, you can't be happy, or even if you have all those factors, you'll be happy all the time. So the factors are listed: having a high self-esteem, basically thinking well of yourself. It doesn't mean thinking you're the best of everything. It's just you have that happy outlook on yourself. An optimistic, outgoing, and agreeable personality. You can understand how this type of personality will help you make friends or hold better social connections, which leads you into the next factor: close friendships or a satisfying marriage. Having that trust and partnerships with other people. The next factor: work and leisure. Engage your skills. If you're going to a job every day that is very boring and you hate it, that you're not going to be happy. You might be happy when you're outside of work, but a big chunk of your day, you're not going to be happy. They find a meaningful religious faith also is connected. By meaningful, we're talking about, again, that connection, which we talked about in the last lecture, where you do have those social activities that are going on and you're connecting with other people as a mean of practicing your faith. And then the last one: sufficient sleep and exercise. Again, you talked about last class. When it's just a factor of you're healthy and you're feeling better, you're going to be happier. Okay? So all of those, again, are correlating factors, meaning you cannot have one and still be very happy. And there's no definite guarantee that if you meet one of them, you are going to be top-notch. All right, our last experience is about optimism. So optimism, you already know, is your belief that bad events are temporary, they're not your fault, and they're not indicative of how things usually are. You've heard the old adage of an optimist looks at a glass and thinks it's half full, pessimist thinks it's half empty. You're looking on the bright side of things, and you're not taking any personal blame for what's happening, and you most certainly don't think it will last forever. A lot of it has to do with your explanatory style. So this is how you think about the good or bad causes of events. If you have an optimistic outlook, again, you don't think it's your fault. That's not to say like the point where people think nothing is their fault, but in terms of items that really would not be your fault. So you have a simple example here. Your friend says they'll text you when they get up to make plans to study for psych, and then they don't text you. Okay? So when they don't text you, what would be your rationale? They don't text because they really don't like you. They wanted to text but couldn't because the cell phone was dead. You just ask, I wonder why they weren't able to text, or they really don't want to study psych with you. Okay. So which of those statements are optimistic? Yes, statements 2 and 3, because they are not about blaming yourself, and there's clearly some explanation as to why they didn't text you. And obviously, what statements are pessimistic? Yes, 1 and 4, because you're looking at you being personally at fault for the text not coming to you. Okay. So, very simple concept. When we finish with well-being, this whole lecture series, if we had done in class, would have been like one day. So it was broken down to a couple to make distance learning a little bit easier. So all I'm going to have you do for today is you're going to do a Google form that's a review. It is graded, but you can use your notes to complete it. So it's not necessarily a quiz. It's more just like an open notes review of our unit on health and wellness. And that's going to end our unit, and you are going to go on April break and have a nice relaxing April break, I hope. And when we come back, we'll start our whole new unit, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye.